Welcome to mid-June and welcome to the new Bona Vista update. If you remember the last few months, we had spent a lot of time here in what I call the train room working on this town of Mill Creek, and we had gotten up to this point here. Well, this month I decided I would stop doing what I was doing in here and stop doing what I call the little finesse scenery. The only thing I wound up by doing in here is adding the view block to the mill building. Sorry, Carl, it was already done by the time you emailed me. And decided to move on, and where we decided to move on to was this area right here in the layout room, in the den. And I started working on the upper deck, because the track is all in there. But the first thing I wound up by doing is this. I added a bank of track lights here to this area because it was always had kind of bugged me that it was a little bit dark. I'm going to turn it off again and you can see. It was just a little bit dark for operators running the trains. It was hard to see the switch lists and stuff like that. So I added a bank of floodlights up here, which really helps matters a lot. I then spent an inordinate amount of time figuring out a backdrop for up here, and finally came up with this one of a lake, which I really like because this area here had already been cut out for a lake when I built the layout, and put the rest of it on there. Now, right here, what's going on, there's a, this is temporary, but I'm experimenting with this view block for the interchange track. The interchange, excuse me, the interchange track is right back here. And it allegedly just kind of goes off into the distance, but I'm trying this view block thing here. There's going to be a building, as you can see, somewhere in front of it here, and I have a hunch it's going to be a larger building than what I've indicated. But the big news is here, I have, as you can see, built the bridge that goes across this portion of the lake. It's probably a little bit of a stream coming out of here. But I think it, excuse me, I think it looks real good. This is 4 through girder bridges from Walthers, 2 sets of piers, 2 sets of abutments, and a scratch-built pier. And then what I did was I lined the bottom of this thing. I am so paranoid about the magic water leaking through down onto the scenery that's finished down here. I lined this whole area here with shaper sheets, Woodland Scenic shaper sheets, and then added a nice bead of hot glue between them. In fact, I used a whole roll of shaper sheets. But that will be fine. Obviously the next job is to start adding the contours and eventually the magic water. What else was done? Well, to answer your question, this is a sizable container I spent a couple of days in the garage building super trees. These are, of course, the Scenic Express things. Had to paint the what do you call it, the trunks, and then put the vegetation on them. They turned out well because the area that we were just looking at, which is Eagle Bend, which I may rename Eagle Lake, have to figure it out, is going to be, I think, heavily wooded. So that's one of the things that we did. In addition to all that, we wound up by shooting 2 more episodes of Off the Rails. I'm going to show you how to build something that is not only extremely easy, and that's because I'm manhandling it here. And so that was a busy month. I don't know if we're going to have an August update or not, simply because the end of this month and the first week of August is the National Model Railroad Association's National Convention in Orlando, Florida. And of course I'll be there for not only the whole convention week, but 3 days prior to that for the board of directors meeting. So it's a total of 10 days. I'll be home for a week, and then I'll be gone again the second week of August. I'll be down in Milwaukee doing some video shooting with the Model Railroader Video Plus guys. So if we don't have an August update, I will see you in September. If we do have an August update, see you then. But once again, as I always say at the end of these things, and I do mean it, thanks a lot for tuning in and joining me.